Having won the battle against Frieza, the Z-Fighters were at last able to return to their peaceful lives. However, their quiet days were soon interrupted by the arrival of Frieza's brother, Cooler. Far more powerful than his younger brother, he has come to Earth in search of revenge. Unable to withstand Cooler's terrible might, the battle's looking bleak for the Z-Fighters. But now, seeing his friends' lives in jeopardy, Goku's Super Saiyan powers have awakened once again. More than 20 years ago, as Frieza destroyed the planet Vegeta, his older brother Cooler stood by and watched as a lone Saiyan space pod escaped towards Earth. Years later, when he learned that this same Saiyan was responsible for his brother's defeat, Cooler vowed revenge and launched an immediate assault on the Earth.
I'm Goku! Get away from Gohan!
So you're the one who defeated Frieza?
The elite soldiers of Cooler's armored squadron attacked without mercy.
Hello and welcome back. Welcome to Cooler's Armored Squadron, or rather just Salza, because Salza is the only person we actually fight from Cooler's Armored Squadron. I believe the other two members of the Armored Squadron appear in the Raging Blast series only. I think those are their only fighting game appearances. Salza is an exceedingly popular character for someone who really only played a bit part. It is stated somewhere in some fluff that he is related to Jace and that the two are from the same star system. This is probably because of their similarities in personality. But both of them basically boil down to not being quite as arrogant or vain as Zarbon. Though Salza in particular is also well remembered because of his Salza Blade, which is just an energy sword that comes out of his arm. I believe the reason he has one shoulder pad is to increase his movement ability with the arm that he uses the Salza Blade with, but I can't completely confirm that. So something special about Salza and this entire film saga is that most of the film sagas only take 3 fights. He just destroyed my spirit bomb. Most of the film sagas only take 3 fights. But for some reason, in Cooler's Revenge, you have to fight against Salza 3 separate times, and you have to fight against Cooler twice. Now, fighting against Cooler twice I understand, because he has 2 forms. But was it really necessary to have 3 separate fights against Salza? I feel like that's just padding for the sake of padding, in a game that doesn't even care about padding. So it's extra weird.
Finish!
Having backed Goku into a corner, the armored squadron moved in for the kill, when Cooler himself suddenly appeared.
Frieza!
Gohan, stay away!
All Saiyans must die.
Sacrificing his body to save Gohan, Goku took a direct hit from Cooler's attack and was lost from view in the fiery blast. With Goku safely hidden for the moment, Gohan snuck out in search of a sensu bean to heal his father's wounds. Unfortunately, at that time, Salza was out on a reconnaissance mission.
You're from Namek?
Gohan, take care of the sensu bean!
Thank you, Piccolo!
Seems you have some skill.
So in a shocking twist, this time Piccolo does actually kick the ass of the person he's supposed to. One of my favorite scenes in Cooler's Revenge is when Piccolo is fighting Salza and manages to utterly decimate him. And he doesn't just out-energy blast him either, he defeats him so thoroughly. And then he loses anyway because Cooler shows up. But Salza even lured Piccolo into a forest and was going to perform a sneak attack on him, and Piccolo still came out on top. So make no doubts about this, Piccolo was going to win here. Oh, and the rest of Cooler's Armored Squadron is just gone now. Piccolo destroyed them too, like right at the start. It's never really made clear exactly how strong Salza is. He seems to be however strong he needs to be to make the plot more interesting. He's able to completely outclass his two fellow warriors in the Armored Squadron, but eats dirt against Piccolo. Yet in the beginning of the film, he seemed fairly confident that he could take on even Goku. But that may just be Salza being too arrogant, because characters being arrogant is a thing that happens a lot in Dragon Ball Z.
Finish!
Zoza, go after that brat!
Frieza!
So that's where you are.
Oh no! He found us!
No!
Before I said this was just padding, and I still agree with that considering how abridged everything else in this game is. But at least all of these fights actually happened, even if they weren't drawn out like this. Unfortunately, there isn't much to say about this fight in the story. Salza just shows up and completely wrecks Krillin and Gohan. And for as much as Salza is overrepresented as far as the fighting games are concerned, at least he has the most interesting character design of the three minor villains. We've seen Cooler twice now already, but he hasn't really been up to much, has he? At least not according to the game. And that's not much different in the actual movie up until this point, but we'll get to see him actually start doing interesting stuff very shortly. He is a fun character, and there are a lot of things to talk about with him, intentionally or otherwise.
Finish!
Time to clean up the rest of the trash. Huh? You, but how did...
This has gone far enough! Leave Earth now while you still can!
So, you finally showed yourself, Saiyan. Come, let me see the power of a Super Saiyan.
Right, so we get to fight Salza yet again, but this time alongside Cooler. And Salza is just as easy to beat this time as he was every other time. In the movie, I'm not sure you could even call it a fight. Goku just activates his aura, and then Salza goes flying. In a fun little twist, though, he manages to survive after the entire battle with Cooler is over, and plans to destroy a weakened Goku. But then Piccolo shows up and shoots him through the chest with a special beam cannon. I guess they just had to have one more dramatic twist before the ending. Either way, I think I've locked Salza into a combo of knocking him off the cliff and then using my Kaioken to bring him back up here, and then knocking him off the cliff again. That seems to be how this is going, and I'm not seeing that change anytime soon. He may want to consider a separate strategy. But then again, some of the enemies are intentionally dumbed down so your rush attacks will even do anything. Because otherwise all your special rush moves would just be countered by them immediately. Oh no, he got back up early this time. But this is thankfully the very last time we fight Salza, which is good because I'm very tired of fighting Salza. He also doesn't transform in between his battles, which tends to make it even worse. I guess not everybody can be Frieza, or Cooler, or Majin Buu, or Cell, or Piccolo, or Goku, or Gohan. I mean, I guess Piccolo's transformation was more permanent, but that still counts, doesn't it? Alright, it's finally time for Cooler, and Cooler has a distinguishing property of being like Frieza, but slightly different. He does seem to live up to his name in being a lot more collected and calm, and generally, well, cooler than Frieza at first. There's also the fact that his voice and general appearance make him appear cooler to what must have been my teenage self. And I imagine a lot of other teenagers who watch Dragon Ball Z, because you don't really call Frieza cool. But Cooler's entire thing is being cool. Something else about him of note is that he doesn't seem nearly as abusive to his comrades as Frieza was. But then again, Cooler's Armored Squadron doesn't seem quite as skeevy as everybody who is working for Frieza. Like, maybe most of Frieza's interactions with Captain Ginyu were actually quite pleasant. Cooler also seems willing to take on fighters that Salza couldn't handle, though. Like, he knew Salza was gonna die to Piccolo. But he showed up and helped him anyway, and I just blew up the Earth. But the thing about Cooler, at least in this form, is that he doesn't underestimate Goku like Frieza fatally did. Like, he goes in expecting Goku to be formidable. Again, at least in this form. There may be something about blowing up the Earth later, but, I mean, with the shape the Earth's already in, I'm not sure it really matters so much. But yes, you've seen it a few times previously, but a few characters do have world-ending attacks that change the stage to this whenever they connect with the Earth. I feel like Cooler could have tried a little bit harder to make that attack connect properly. So after Cooler gets hit with this one, he just starts flying around like a little weirdo. He just starts zipping around like a fly and not really doing anything. And I understand that he probably isn't locked onto me anymore, but he also never stops to try and find me. He just keeps flying around in awkward circles. And I mean, he does this for a while without ever finding me. Like, I'm right above him at this point.
Finish!
I see why you gave my brother so much trouble. Fortunately for me, I still have one more transformation to make.
What?
Can Goku possibly stand up to Cooler's ultimate transformation?
Consider yourself honored! You'll be the first to witness my ultimate form!
The first thing I would like to point out for this battle is that we have Gohan and Krillin as backup, which is hilarious. Because at this point, Cooler could easily kill Gohan and Krillin by successfully sneezing on them. Cooler in his final form in the story of the movie is a bit different than Cooler outside of his final form. And I could never understand if this was intentional. Outside of his ultimate form, Cooler seemed noticeably less arrogant and careless than Frieza, less angry as well. But when he transforms, he gets noticeably angrier, more ruthless, and more arrogant, like, you know, Frieza. And this ultimately leads to his downfall in the same fashion as Frieza. You figure at some point that people would stop underestimating Goku's power, you know? You figure that would just stop happening at some point, but it doesn't appear to. But at this point, Cooler's winning the fight all handy-dandy, and he's like, man, this Goku sucker is a pushover. I'm so angry that my family was disgraced by someone this ridiculously weak. So then Cooler says, I'm gonna blow up the Earth just to spite you, and Goku says, I'm angry now, and then Cooler goes, oh shit, and gets blasted into the sun. And then he somehow comes back later in spite of being blasted into the sun, but don't worry about that.
You'll pay
As promised, Cooler's ultimate form proved to be far more terrible than Frieza's. But even so, Goku refused to give up. Like his brother before him, Cooler underestimated Goku's resolve, a fact he came to realize only too late. Unable to withstand Goku's Super Saiyan powers, Cooler was overwhelmed by the blast, completely annihilated.
Guys, I did it!
And so, peace was once again restored to the Earth, thanks to the Z Fighters.